Around the time I was getting into my first video games, I was really more into the PG games like Skylanders and Minecraft, and I also got my first exposure to older games like Super Mario World and Street Fighter 2 Turbo. But then I was introduced to my first grown-up game, which was Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Now, you can debate whether or not a kindergartner should have been playing that game, but for me, it ignited a love for the Call of Duty series. I specifically latched on to the Black Ops games, partly because I didn't know that the Modern Warfare games existed until much later. What I loved about Black Ops was that it was both action-packed and wacky, but it could also be serious when needed. The first game in the series leans way more into the serious side, and for good reason. You can't really portray the deadliest conflict in human history as all sunshine and rainbows. Of course, I'm talking about World War II. You see, a majority of the Call of Duty series is based around this conflict. Almost a fifth of the series, including spin-offs, is based on the Second World War. But let's go back to the series' infancy. The year is 2006. Infinity Ward was hard at work on their next entry in the series, which left the 2006 release slot open. Luckily, a studio that had only worked on a spin-off at that point stepped up. That studio was Treyarch, and in 8 months they cooked up Call of Duty 3. And not long after Call of Duty 3 was released, Treyarch began to work on their second mainline game. Since Treyarch's game was set to release in 2008, the 2007 release slot was occupied by Infinity Ward's Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Just imagine the reaction of Call of Duty fans when they had recently moved out of the World War II era and into Modern Warfare. They were excited to see what the next game would be, only to be reeled back into World War II. Don't worry, it was positively received. Diving into the game itself, one of the key differences between World at War and the other games was its tone. This is what you get when you boot up the game. Atmosphere, creepy. Pants, wet. Anyways, let's jump right into the... The World at War campaign is divided into two perspectives. One follows Miller in the American campaign, while the other follows Petrenko in the Russian campaign. To keep things consistent, I will discuss the American campaign first, followed by the Russian half, rather than going through the campaign in its alternating order.
Grenade! Miller! Throw it back!
After we press start on a horrifying opening cutscene that shows real war footage of someone being executed, we're greeted by this guy smoking in our face. And in the background we see a member of our platoon being beaten. That guy's name is Private Pyle. Don't get too attached. With Pyle dead, we're to assume that he was just an example, and what is going to happen to us is probably going to be the same. Fortunately, Roebuck comes in and saves us. Sergeant Sullivan gives you a helmet and a pistol, and our mission begins with a literal bang. Early on in the mission, a private named Ryan gets attacked by a burning Japanese soldier. If you kill this Japanese soldier and Ryan comes out alive, you get an achievement called Saving Private Ryan, which is obviously a reference to the Steven Spielberg movie of the same name. Once you're done fighting everyone, you get to a little path. It's quiet. Alarmingly quiet.
Tojo's at home in this shit. Eyes peeled. Shh.
What the hell is this?
Check it out.
Looks like a temple or some shit.
Ambushes are very common in the Pacific Theater section of the campaign. Every single moment where there is no combat, expect a handful of Japanese soldiers to jump out and attack you. Like...
What the hell?
Who took these guys out?
Radio command. Find out if another unit came in ahead of us. Ambush! Boom! Boom!
Fun fact, this ambush can be triggered early. I don't know why you want to, but you can. Once you send this truck barreling down this hill, causing a massive explosion, the last battle section of this mission commences. Now, of course, you got to top that explosion, so you plant some charges and... Okay, at least Sullivan's got us.
Where's the fireworks?
Tell me those charges weren't duds.
They better not be.
Yeah, I hope not. Hell yeah. Little Resistance jumps ahead 2 years to the start of the Battle of Peleliu, which is also where the next 4 missions will take place, which by the way are all in the same day. There's some semi-smooth sailing until the boat gets caught in some coral, which is especially mind-blowing for this Marine. Before Sullivan yells to drop the ramp for what feels like the 1000th time, an explosion violently forces us out of the boat. Thank God, I was getting really tired of this man. After we flatten the Japanese front line, we make it to the beach. Now, what follows can go either 2 ways. You can proceed forward like you're supposed to, or you can jump into some holes and this happens.
Shit. Put him down!
Look, I have had several great-grandfathers who fought in World War II, and many awesome stories have come from it. However, I don't believe any of those stories have mentioned a damn ray gun. The developer who coded this in nearly got fired, and I suppose it's understandable given that it completely sacrifices the historical accuracy of the game. However, there are some very specific steps you have to take to get it, so hey, at least he didn't lose his job. Anyways, to quickly summarize this mission, go to area, flatten area with bombs and gunfire, repeat. Now, don't take that as if it wasn't fun. It was actually pretty cool, especially with the ray gun. But that's practically what the mission is about. Now all we've got to do is secure the surrounding area, and it's just one doorway away. No! I only knew him for 20 minutes of gameplay! Hey, look on the bright side, at least Roebuck gets promoted. It's a bummer that he had to get it this way though. Hard landing begins with Polanski and Roebuck talking back and forth about how Sullivan's body is going to be shipped back to America and that we shouldn't let our guard down. And then they proceed to let their guard down and get ambushed.
Shit! We're dead!
Now you have to make it through a bunch of smaller bases that are around this airfield. Eventually you're pinned down by these 2 enemies. Luckily, we've got a flamethrower. Never mind, he got shot. Well, now it's your turn to pick it up and use it. I'm curious about how the gunfire didn't penetrate the gas tank. Anyways, you eventually make it to the airfield and this building looks awfully familiar. Yeah. As you progress, you clear out enemy infantry and blow up tanks with bazookas. At the very end, there is a standoff where you must use almost everything at your disposal. Mounted machine guns, flat guns, and just regular guns. Burn 'em out is a very brief mission that can be summarized in one sentence. Make your way through infantry, destroy the mortar site, repeat. Relentless starts with
Trying to flush them out with the dogs, but we all know how stubborn these bastards are. Be prepared for close quarter fighting. They'll come at us from all sides. Watch each other's backs. Don't get caught out. Incoming!
You guessed it, an ambush. You make your way through Japanese infantry until you regroup with your squad to relay the message that the artillery has been knocked out. I've kept my descriptions of the last 2 missions brief because each mission lasts about like 10 to 15 minutes. I'm working with what I have. Next up is Black Cats. Black Cats is genuinely one of my favorite missions in the game. I think it's just because of how subversive it is from the other missions. In Black Cats, the story jumps ahead a couple months to April 3rd, 1945. Instead of being in Peleliu, the setting is in Okinawa. This mission is unique because unlike the others in the American campaign, you do not play as Miller. Instead, you take the role of Petty Officer Locke. Your mission is to destroy various Japanese warships with basically every gun that is attached to your plane, mostly different types of mounted machine guns. Eventually, the job is finished, and you're ready to leave, but then a distress call comes in, prompting you to swoop in and save survivors. As you make your way to the distress call, Japanese Zero fighter planes start flying overhead, and just when things couldn't get worse, PT boats also appear on the scene, and boy do they let you know that those PT boats are there. You need to keep your eye on the sky while simultaneously watching for survivors and fending off PT boats. And right as when things start to look bad, our friendly fighter planes arrive, and you can finally leave. Blowtorch and Corkscrew returns us to Miller and jumps ahead a whole month. This mission is basically burn 'em out, just replace mortar sites with bunkers. Breaking Point is the final mission of the American campaign. It starts with you and your squad grabbing supplies and then getting ambushed, as per usual. One thing I find neat about the supply drop is that you can pick up 3 different weapons: the Browning machine gun, the Thompson submachine gun, and the scoped Springfield rifle. Each weapon caters to different playstyles. The Thompson and Browning are great for more run and gun approach, while the Springfield is better suited for a more laid back and defensive strategy. Personally, I picked up the Springfield and the Thompson. Then you continue navigating through the level, whether by gunfire, grenades, or picking up mortar rounds and throwing them like footballs. Eventually, you encounter surrendering Japanese soldiers, which if you know your history is a bit odd, and if you were suspicious, then you were correct. Right as Polanski and Roebuck pursue them, they pounce. This is where you have to make the choice to save Roebuck or save Polanski, or be like me and blow us all up on accident. Then a fierce fight that lasts about a couple minutes follows. The mission ends with an airstrike and the collection of dog tags.
Every day was spent crawling through the mud and the dirt while bullets whistle all around. This is the enemy's last stand. When we take Shuri Castle, we go home. All of us.
I need your help. Do what I say, and we can avenge this massacre.
Fortunately, you're not the only survivor. This is Sergeant Rezanov. He's like Roebuck, but more badass. He then informs us of our mission's main goal, taking down General Amsel. Amsel looks quite familiar, and I just can't quite put a finger on it. Anyways, you're told to eliminate the German patrol. Easy work.
Shoot now!
Nazis. I hate these guys.
Once you leave the scene, you're safe.
Sniper! Get inside now!
Never mind. A German sniper tries to get us, but with a little bit of patience.
If it fires, move! Good hunting!
Great. Now things are safe, right?
They found us! We need to leave now! Hit the floor!
Okay, let's just get out of this building, then we'll be safe. Oh, damn it. Okay, luckily, some fellow soldiers save us. Eventually, more enemy soldiers come in. No big deal, just run and gun. But then you see him, General Amsel. Now's your chance.
Using the destroyed tank! Stop! He's running!
After you turn General Amsel into a red stain, Rezanov is quick to congratulate you. unfortunately leaving you open.
You are a true man!
Obviously, victory is short-lived, and the only objective is to get the fuck out of there. Their land, their blood jumps ahead about 3 years to April of 1945. Once again, you wake up to a bunch of your teammates dead. Petrenko just can't get a break. As you try to reach for a rifle to further continue the vendetta similarities, you get a boot to the face from a guy that looks all too familiar. Aha, I got it. He looks like General Amsel. Fortunately, Reznov puts that all to an end. Then for a majority of the mission, you make your way through German infantry. Soon you encounter some tanks, but it's nothing a couple rockets can't solve. Then you advance to a compound and absolutely tear the place apart, blowing up towers, trucks, and infantry that are in your way. Up next is Blood and Iron, which is basically the Russian campaign's version of Black Cats, but instead of a PBY Catalina, you're operating an OT-3485 tank. Throughout the whole mission, you blow up bunkers, towers, tanks, infantry, basically anything with a swastika on it. Once you've blown up almost everything in sight, the mission ends with a cutscene of you, Reznov, and a majority of the Red Army loading onto a train car to Germany. Ring of Steel begins with the Russian assault upon Germany. The entire mission is your advancement through Berlin. Eviction picks up right where Ring of Steel left off. Near the end of the mission, you encounter 3 enemy soldiers trying to surrender. At this point, you have a choice. As Reznov says,
That comes only 2 ways. Fast or slow.
so either you shoot them, or you and all the surrounding Russian soldiers pelt them with Molotov cocktails. It's a very small choice, and there are quite a few moments like it throughout the Russian campaign, which I'll talk about later. You make your way through the metro, which is eventually flooded by the Germans in a desperate effort to wipe us out. Did it work? Well, Heart of the Reich begins with us being dragged out by Reznov, and he says,
Flooded their own metro in an effort to kill us, Dmitri. But once again, they failed.
Also, this mission takes place on April 30th, meaning that the news that their attempt of flushing out the Russians failing isn't going to be the only bad news for our enemy. Anyways, once he is done dragging you up the stairs, he begins to drag Chernov in a different way. I'm very sorry for neglecting to mention Chernov in this whole segment, so I'll give the quick rundown. Chernov appears in almost every mission after Vendetta. He is characterized by his rather vocal distaste of the violent nature of the Russian army. Basically, he is not the big fan of the bloodlust revenge that the Red Army is taking. For example, in the opening of Their Land, Their Blood, which is the introduction to this character, Reznov tells you to kill the wounded German soldiers, while Chernov insists on just letting them die of their injuries. Reznov openly rips into Chernov for this, and this happens throughout the Russian campaign. As it goes on, he is increasingly harsh towards Chernov, and at the beginning of this mission is where it hits its peak. After that, you storm the plaza and blow up the 4 Flak 88s to clear the way for your fellow soldiers. Eventually, the path is clear and Chernov makes a defiant charge towards the Reichstag. Reznov is quick to contradict himself by grabbing Chernov's journal and saying,
Dmitri! Someone should read this. No one will ever read this!
The cutscene that preludes the mission Downfall features Reznov reading an entry of Chernov's journal. There are 3 different versions of this entry which correspond with your actions throughout the Russian campaign. If you did things like choosing not to kill the wounded soldiers in Their Land, Their Blood, or anything that is more aligned with Chernov's morals, he will say this.
April 30th, 1945. When he first spoke of Dmitri, Reznov told tales of a hero. Someone we should all aspire to be like. His bravery on the battlefield is beyond question, but he has also shown mercy amidst the brutality of the Red Army. He is indeed a hero.
If you did the complete opposite and did things like burning the surrendering soldiers in Eviction, he will say this.
April 30th, 1945. When he first spoke of Dmitri, Reznov told tales of a hero. Someone we should all aspire to be like. His merciless brutality defines him only as a savage, just like the rest of the Red Army. He is no hero.
And finally, if you did a mixture of good and evil, he'll say this.
April 30th, 1945. When he first spoke of Dmitri, Reznov told tales of a hero. Someone we should all aspire to be like. At times, I have seen him show mercy, and at others act with complete brutality. I do not understand him. Perhaps heroes need not question their actions.
The mission takes place almost entirely within the Reichstag, where you tear through German infantry. You can tell this is where they were starting to get desperate considering the amount of enemy soldiers you see with visible injuries. Eventually, you make it to the roof, where once again our flag bearer is killed. No worries, now you are the flag bearer. Once you make your way to the fascist flag, this happens. Fortunately, like the true badass he is, Reznov saves you and cuts down the flag, which allows you to plant your flag, and with that triumphant victory, the Russian story, along with the campaign itself, comes to a close.
As long as you live, the heart of this army can never be broken.
Things will change, my friend. As heroes, we will return to Russia's embrace.
World at War's multiplayer is almost identical to Call of Duty 4's multiplayer, having a 3-kill streak system and nearly all the same modes. Of course, there are some differences for the kill streaks. The first two are similar to the previous game. The first kill streak awarded after 3 kills without dying is the recon plane, which acts identical to Call of Duty 4's radar. After 5 consecutive kills, you get the artillery. This also behaves the same way as the airstrike in Call of Duty 4. Both have the player select an area of the map to pelt with bombs. The final kill streak, awarded at 7 consecutive kills, is the most different from the previous game's counterpart. In Call of Duty 4, 7 kills earns you the helicopter. The helicopter would patrol the map and gun down any open enemy soldier. With World at War, they had to change that for obvious reasons. What they chose was a bit odd, but still effective and worth it. 7 kills earns you the dogs. The dogs are a group of dogs that would run around the map and attack enemy players for around a minute. One of the other big differences is the fact that there are vehicles. On certain large maps, the player is able to operate tanks. Once the enemy team gets one of these, they're practically damn near unstoppable unless if you have a bazooka or a satchel charge. Every weapon usable in the campaign can be used in the multiplayer, and almost all of them can be customized. Even the player model can be customized by weapon choice, like equipping a ghillie suit when the player has a sniper as their primary. The multiplayer is a great way to settle down and play with your buddies. Fortunately, the multiplayer isn't the only experience within World at War. There's the co-op campaign. World at War is the first and only Call of Duty game to feature the ability to play the campaign as a co-op experience. The campaign can be played split screen or online. There are also 2 ways of play, co-op and competitive co-op. Regular co-op is the normal playthrough of the game with the bonus of playing it with someone else. There is also the challenge of needing to keep both players alive. Competitive co-op is exactly the same, except the players are to go for the highest score. The score is earned through completing objectives and killing enemies. It's very similar to Halo's co-op system. Okay, so I'm 10 pages and 3,845 words into this script, and I somehow feel that I'm forgetting something. I covered everything on the main menu, though. Hold on. Yeah, I still am missing something. Okay, I'm gonna go get a drink. What the fuck? That's right, the same game that depicts gruesome warfare also started the wacky sci-fi game mode that is Call of Duty Zombies. How does a game mode that eventually became this begin? Well, imagine being one of the many kids who played this game way too young, and were completely oblivious to what followed the campaign's credits. You'd be sitting back, satisfied with your achievement, and you just happen to sit through the credits. Once the credits wrap up, you expect to be booted back to the main menu, or given some sort of thank you message, just to be hit with this cutscene out of nowhere. Once it's done, you're thrown into an empty, desolate base. The building is surrounded by dense fog. It's quiet. Too quiet. Unknown to you, hordes of undead soldiers are slowly shambling towards you. The only thing you can do is survive, for this is Nacht der Untoten, the Night of the Undead. Cutting the drama, this was the debut map for Call of Duty Zombies. It's a very simple map, and it shows that this game mode was, at the time, a mere side project. The reason for it being hidden behind the campaign was simply because they didn't want this new game mode to overshadow the campaign. As previously stated, the objective is to survive for as many rounds as possible. You earn points by killing zombies, and you use those points for weapons and unlocking areas of the map that are blocked off. You can also occasionally earn points by putting up barriers. When you spawn into this map, you're thrown in with just a 1911, roughly 8 mags of reserve ammo, and a couple of grenades. Luckily for you, that pea shooter of a pistol isn't your only choice. Weapons are either acquired through wall buys or the mystery box. The mystery box allows you to get weapons for a reasonable 950 points. The catch is that the mystery box is completely random. You could get a shotgun or a Thompson for a couple hundred points less, or you could get completely scammed and get a KR98K, which has the worth of 200 points. Crazy how that isn't the only time that you can get scammed by a KR98K. Because on the upstairs level, there's a cabinet that demands 1500 points, and when opened, it gives you a scoped KR98K. Remember that ray gun that nearly got a man fired? That's in this too. The only way to get it, though, is through the mystery box, and it's not really common. Occasionally, when you kill a zombie, there is a chance for a power-up to drop. There's max ammo, insta-kill, double points, and the nuke. Most are self-explanatory. Max ammo replenishes all your ammo. Insta-kill makes zombies able to be killed with one hit, double points gives you double the amount of points you receive, and the nuke wipes every living zombie out. Besides those things, there's not much. It's simple, but fun. In terms of characters, you just play as a bunch of random American private. About 4 months later, Map Pack 1 was released. It came with 3 multiplayer maps, along with the second Zombies map, Verrückt. Just to sidetrack a bit, and to also make a bunch of people feel old, this map came out on my exact birthday. You heard me right, the person you are listening to right now was born the exact same day that Verrückt was released. I am sorry. Anyways, this map introduced many important features. The first major one is perks. Perks are basically drinkable power-ups. There's Quick Revive, Juggernog, Speed Cola, and Double Tap Root Beer. Quick Revive gives you the ability to revive your teammates at double the speed. This also makes it completely useless in multiplayer. Juggernog allows you to take more damage, Speed Cola makes you reload and put barriers quicker, and finally, Double Tap increases your weapon's fire rate by 33%. These perks will cost you a pretty penny. Quick Revive is the cheapest with a 1500 point price, Double Tap with 2000 points, Juggernog is 2500 points, and Speed Cola is the most expensive with a hefty 3000 point price. The next new feature is the power. When you load in, there's a door that bars off the other half of the map. Also, perk machines are completely unusable. It stays like this until you make your way to the power room. Once the power is on, that door opens and perks are usable. When playing with other people, your group can be separated by that door, which means that you can't get to them until the power is on. This makes survival on both sides important. By the way, this map is difficult. It's narrow, rooms are small, and there's the dreaded Verrückt sprinters. What are the Verrückt sprinters? Well, They're zombies that sprint at you at Mach fuck like their undead life depends on it. This makes it extremely easy for you to get blindsided or overrun. Zombies are also just much smarter in general. For example, they can hit you through barriers now. Also, the box can move if you spin it one too many times. Fortunately, there are new ways to counter the zombies. There are electric traps. Got a horde chasing you? Well, with a flick of a lever and 1,000 points, you can electrocute the incoming wave. Just don't walk through it yourself, you don't want to end up like them. There's also the bouncing betties. They're simple mines that can be laid down anywhere. You get 2 of them and they replenish at the start of every round if used. These are highly recommended for later rounds. Another improvement is the fact that you're now playing as named characters. There's Tank Dempsey, John Banana, Smokey, and Paxton Gunner Ridge. There's also some lore sprinkled in as to why they're at that place. Simply put, they're looking for an American spy named Peter McCain, so they go to this asylum to look for him just to find out he's hanging around somewhere else. Overall, Verrückt has an important mark on COD Zombies, and it's a pretty good map too. 3 months later, Map Pack 2 was released, and with it became the 3rd entry to Zombies. Shi no Numa is the exact opposite of Verrückt. It's huge, it's open, it's so spacious, in fact, that there is a zip line. Though most of the map is covered in swamp water that slows you down, there are still some good training areas. The same 4 perk machines are back, this time being randomized on which hut they spawn in. The electric traps are there too, along with a new trap called the Flogger, which is basically a giant log that hits zombies. That's basically all it does. The mystery box also moves like it does on Verrückt. Now for the newer stuff. There's a new crew that the players play as. What happened to the last guys? Well, only 2 survived. 1 was captured and brainwashed and also happens to be in this new crew. What about Peter? I got bad news. Anyways, the new crew is made up of Tank Dempsey, Nikolai Belensky, Taki Masaki, and Edward Richtofen. Each represents the factions from the campaign. In fact, all of them are reused assets from the campaign. Richtofen is General Amsel with a recolored uniform, Tank Dempsey is Sergeant Polanski, Takio is one of the default Japanese soldiers, and Nikolai is Chernov. Besides the new crew, there's a new wonder weapon, the Wunderwaffe DG2. This weapon shoots lightning that can stun and kill up to 10 zombies with 1 shot. And I'm pretty sure that's it for additions.
Come here, puppy. Got something for you. Fetch me their souls.
The Hellhounds act as sort of a mini-boss. Every 5 or so rounds, the hounds come in. Once you kill all of them, you're rewarded with a max ammo. Less than 2 months later, the final World at War map pack was released. In it was the 4th and final World at War Zombies map. Of course, that map was the ever so iconic Der Riese.
I'm on Der Riese! I'm on Der Riese! Everybody look at me, cause I'm pissing on a zombie!
Der Riese brings everything that had been established in the past 3 maps. It has the Hellhound rounds, wonder weapons, all 4 perks, traps, and the main crew. Even the power returns after skipping out on Shi no Numa. And like the past 3, it established new features that went on to become series staples. The biggest addition was the Pack-a-Punch. The Pack-a-Punch upgrades your weapon for a whopping 5,000 points. By the way, the Pack-a-Punch isn't unlocked right away. You have to enable 3 teleporters which are behind their own respective series of doors, so by the time you unlock the Pack-a-Punch, you've basically spent as much as upgrading your weapon with it. That honestly isn't bad, it keeps the player busy from either camping or training zombies until death. Plus, the Pack-a-Punch allows for a little more longevity. Once your weapon can't keep up with the gradually increasing health of the zombies, you Pack-a-Punch it. Additionally, there was a 5th power-up, Carpenter. Carpenter puts up every barrier and gives you 200 points. Der Riese also had a music Easter egg like the previous maps. You see, Nox's Easter egg was basic. All he needed to do was knife a radio in the mystery box room and bam, there's the song WTF. Verrückt had you flushing toilets. Look, anything to hear Lullaby for a Dead Man. Shi no Numa has you interacting with a phone in the comm room 3 times so you can hear the one. Der Riese has you interacting with these glowing green jars, and when all 3 are interacted with, you get Beauty of Annihilation. All 4 of these songs were masterfully made by Kevin Sherwood, with the last 3 featuring Elena Siegman on vocals. The genres span from electronic dance music to straight up metalcore. A lot of Kevin's material can be heard throughout Call of Duty Zombies. All the songs that play when you die end up being the Easter egg song for the next map. Noct has an early version of Lullaby for a Dead Man, Rucht has The One, and Shidonuma has Beauty of Annihilation. But what does Darice have? Unfortunately, we would have to wait to hear that song in a COD game. While Call of Duty Zombies maps were being released, most of Treyarch was hard at work on the next. Okay, so this video has been in production hell, mainly because of procrastination and shit. I started the script in September and recorded all of the campaign footage and the multiplayer footage in September as well. And over the couple months I was like, oh shit, yeah, that. And then I like would add a little bit to it and then, you know, not work on it for another month or two. Then I finally locked in this month and yeah, now you got the video in front of you. I also recorded the co-op and zombies footage too. Now I plan on doing a similar video to this with the other Black Ops games, you know, Black Ops 1, 2, 3, 4, Cold War, even 6 when the lifespan of that game's over. Now, I'm just gonna say this, the release schedule will not be consistent. The Black Ops video could come out in a month, or it can come out in like 3 months, you know? I work at a really weird pace, okay? And I also have school and other shit. I also want to do just a video on Call of Duty Zombies, do like a history of it and like talk about the maps individually and more in depth, and also talk about the lore even. I did kind of do that with this video, but I did leave some things out. The monkey bombs, I completely forgot to mention the monkey bombs. Anyways, Lord knows when the next video comes out, so see you in however long.